StrayAllDay.com.
You are now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques underneath the umbrella of one unified philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is why attention creates tension. Before we get into this, I remind you all of two things. First of all, my daily motivation, Monday motivation text, guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point. Once we start sending those again, you want to be in my text community so you're getting those messages. Just send a text to the number 305-384-6894. And when we start sending those messages again, you'll be getting it straight to your phone. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That is a place where I do all my coaching. If you would like to work with me directly, have me as your direct coach where I can answer your questions, help you handle your challenges, replace some of the questions that you're asking with even better questions that will help you get to your goals faster, more effectively, and more dependably. I want you to go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. This is for people who are top 2% performers or those of you who plan on joining that group only. Workonyourgameuniversity.com. Let's get into the topic now, which is why attention creates tension. Now, this topic comes from something that I saw on social media, as a matter of fact, where some people who I know and some people who I know of can create notable amounts of success, and you draw an audience of detractors in the process of doing that. Any of you who's ever created a notable amount of success in any environment knows that along with that success, you get detractors, you get negative people, you get trolls, you get haters, whatever you want to call these people. It comes with creating success for different reasons. Again, depending on who you ask, you may get different reasons as to why this happens. Just yesterday, I saw Serena Williams, the tennis player. She watched a comment she had made that she was directing towards female pro basketball player Caitlin Clark. And Serena was saying that, well, people will hate on you or be negative towards you. She didn't, I don't think she said hate, but I don't know if she did. People will throw negative energy towards you simply because you can do things that they can't do. So that's the reason that Serena was coming up with, that you are just better than them. And that's the reason why they're sending negative energy. That can be part of it. I would not say that's the main reason that attention creates tension. But as I get into this episode here today, I'm going to tell you what I believe the main reasons are. Serena's not wrong, but that's not the full story of why these type of things happen. In short, there are some people who, because of the money that they're making, and it is noted that you make the money, or the prices that you charge, and it is noted that you charge those prices, you will have people calling you a scammer just because of your price compared to the value of what you're offering. There are some people I know, for example, who are online entrepreneurs, and they are in similar lanes to what I do. But these people, they have coaching programs or masterminds, or they do things that are in the personal and professional development space, and that's a very wide space. But there are people who I know. I personally know these people, and I will see groups of people going online and trashing these people, talking bad about them, talking negatively about them, calling them scammers, saying that they're cheats, saying that they're frauds, all not because of what they're offering, but because of the prices they're charging for it. Why is this person charging this much money? And then somebody will say, well, this person's not even giving that much value. The stuff that they're saying is not even that great, or what they're teaching is not even that amazing. I hear and see people saying this kind of stuff about certain people who I know of, who are out there, doing their thing business wise. And again, the only reason that they're calling them that is because of their prices, because that's what they're coming back to every time. So if the person was charging 10% of what they're charging, then they wouldn't be getting that same type of backlash, let's say. So there are different reasons why some people draw detractors. And I am not here to judge any of the folks, whether the person who is being called or being detracted upon, however you say that, or the person who's doing the detracting. I'm not here to judge any of those people. But what I want to do, because I've seen enough of this that it needs to be discussed, I want to share here how it happens, and I want to help all of you understand this and how it may apply to you as you build up your own success and you build up your own business. Because as you create more attention, it is guaranteed that you're going to get some negative feedback, regardless of how good you are or how good you intend on being. Point number one. Topic once again today is why attention creates tension. Number one, your success is a mirror. A mirror, mirror. When you become successful, other people will see your success and they're seeing it not through the lens of what you're doing and objectively just looking at your actions and your outcomes. Most people see you and the things that you do through the mirror of how it reflects on them. Okay, so you're doing this at this level, they're doing it at a different level. What does that say about me? That's what the person who will have an opinion about you is really thinking about themselves. And this is the reason why I tell you when people are negative towards you, is not really because they have something negative to say about you per se. They may be talking about you negatively, but what they're really talking about is the reflection that whatever you're doing or representing, what that reflection says to them about themselves, and they just happen to be using you as the canvas upon which to paint their thoughts, feelings, emotions, and energies. That's really what negative energy is when other people are giving it to you. It's not really about you, it's about them. You might think it's about you because you, just like everybody else, including the negative hater who is talking bad about you, we tend to take everything that happens in our lives first through the frame of how does this affect me? What does this say about me? What is it? How does it affect my world? We all are like that. We are all narcissists in that way, that our first and last thought about anything that occurs is about ourselves and not about other people. And it's the same thing when the person's being negative towards you. So you are a mirror. When you become successful, and as you create more and more success, other people who don't have your success or who may have your success, but they see you catching up to them. They see you encroaching on where they are. You're catching up to their level. You're in the rearview mirror, and as they say, objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. They start to notice that you're on your way. Their response is more of a reflection, again, of their own feelings than it is about their own feelings about themselves than it is their feelings about you. Now, some people, as you start to create more and more success, are happy for your success. They want to see you catch up to the level that they're at. So you're at a level 5 and you're moving up, and then somebody else who's at a level 9, they see you moving up. They will congratulate you, support you, offer their help, and cheer you on as you move up to meet them at the level that they're at. There are other people, though, who will see you coming up and they will try to, stomp on your fingers so you can't keep climbing up the ladder. They'll be negative towards you. And there are other people, when you're at a level 5, on your way to a level 9, there are people who are still at a level 3 who are going to be negative towards you simply because you have surpassed them and you're creating an even larger gap between you and them. The separation days that we talk about in my concept called the third day, you're creating a larger gap between you and them, and they're going to come up with negative things to say about you because, again, that's the way that they reconcile the difference between where you are and where they are. They reconcile that delta by being negative about you, whereas they do have the option of actually doing the work, but they've chosen not to take that option. So again, these are people who may just be negative towards you and they are hoping for your downfall because then you'll be even with them again, or you'll stay further below them than where you are right now. This is all just simple human nature. Everything I'm saying here is just human nature. It is easier to pull another person down to the level that you're at than it is to do the work on yourself to catch up to the level that they're at. So someone's 10 levels above you, you could either just pull them down mentally. So in your mind, you believe they're on your same level, even though in reality they are not. Or you could actually do the work so that you are in fact on the same level as them because you moved yourself up instead of pulling them down in your mind, that is. Because when you pull someone down in your mind, you didn't really pull them down. They're still up there, but you just created a story in your mind that allows you to rationalize the difference between where they are and where you are. That's really what it is when people are being negative towards you. That's why it's much easier to be negative towards a person's success than it is to use it as a motivation for success, for your own success. Because if I can craft a story that's negative about you, so I can feel better about the fact that you're 3 levels above me, well, how long does it take me to craft that story? I craft that story in 5 minutes. I only have to get up from my chair. But if you're 3 levels above me and I want to catch up, well, it might take me a year or 2 or 5 to do the work to close the gap between where you are and where I'm at. That's all. It takes a lot more effort. And what do we know about human beings? We are lazy by nature. We would rather do the thing that is easier than do the thing that is harder, even though the thing that is harder is more valuable. Human nature, again, human nature is people will take the easiest possible route. And this is why people choose to be negative when they could just use your success as motivation. And this is also the reason why there are more unsuccessful people on the planet than there are successful people, because success requires work. All right. And you can become unsuccessful by default. You can be unsuccessful by doing nothing. But to be successful, you have to actually put the effort in. And most people are simply too lazy and they lack the discipline to put in effort over a consistent basis to produce results. And this is the reason why when I tell you about Work on Your Game University, I tell you I'm looking for the top 2% performers because I'm not looking for the people who are like most people. I'm looking for the people who are not like most people. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is why attention creates tension. Number two is the law of averages. The law of averages. The fact of the matter is, folks, there are negative people in the world. Not everybody's going to be positive. Not everybody's going to be happy. Not everyone's going to be happy for your success. Not everyone wants to see you win. Not everyone wants to see you move forward and succeed. There are some people who are just negative. They're negative about themselves. They're negative about their past. They're negative about anybody they come across. And if they come across you, they're going to be negative about you because that's just how it is. The law of averages states that you are bound to run into people like this every now and then. You cannot avoid it. And the more you are seen, because remember the topic here today, why attention creates tension. So if you're creating attention, meaning you're getting seen more and more, well, guess what? You are increasing the likelihood that some of the people who see you are these negative types of individuals. So people who just got up on the wrong side of the bed, people who woke up and drank a tall glass of haterade to start the day. All right, it's more likely you're going to come across one of these people's purview. They're going to see you, and you're going to come up in their social media feed, or your email is going to end up in their inbox, or somebody's going to mention your name to them, or they're going to stumble across your website, or whatever it is that you're doing. They're going to notice you. And some of that negative energy, they're going to project it onto you because they have to put it somewhere, and you just happen to be an easy target because you are out there garnering attention and making yourself a target. You are making yourself available for scrutiny. This is the thing that you need to understand, folks. Everything in life has a trade-off. There are no perfect scenarios. I told you in episode number 2174. There are no perfect scenarios in life. There are only trade-offs. Every single thing in life has a trade-off. If you don't know about the trade-off of anything you have going on in your life, you should find out about it because there is one. And the trade-off of drawing attention is that you make yourself a target of negative people. That's one of the trade-offs. And if you don't want to be a target of negative people, go back to not drawing attention and see how that feels, because there's a trade-off to that too. Everybody getting where I'm coming from here? So when you're making yourself an object of attention, some of it will be negative, because one thing to get attention when you have a small, carefully crafted audience of people watching you, people who you have slowly but surely built up a solid audience. Most of those people will be positive about you. See, there's another thing though, when you hit critical mass, and I've had this happen. I'll give you some examples in a second. But it's another thing when you hit critical mass, and now you're getting multiples of people coming across you all at the same time, all maybe for the same reason, and they're all flooding in all at once. And when you flood that many people all in at once, and your carefully crafted process is disturbed because now you're getting masses of people coming to find you instead of just a few at a time, well, now guaranteed some of those people will be negative. You can't control that process because it's too much coming in all at once. But again, the trade-off of it, that's the trade-off. The trade-off is some of these people you can't control, and some of them are going to be negative. Whereas if you go back to doing things slowly, well, you might run out of time. So there's a trade-off of everything. So I've heard business owners talk about this, people who built really big businesses. And they'll say, when we first started our company, during the interview process, anybody who we hired, I sat down with every single hire who came in during the interview process. First 25 people we hired, I met every single one of them, shook their hands, sat in the room with them, looked them in the eyes, and had a conversation with them before we hired them. But now our company has 5,000 people working there. And sometimes I'm walking through the offices and I walk past a person and they don't know who I am and I don't know who they are, but they work here. They're on my payroll. I don't even know who the person is. This is what happens when more mass comes in, more volume comes in. Eventually, you cannot micromanage every single aspect of how it works. It's the same thing when it comes to your audience. I've been putting out content for 20 years now. And I would say 99% of the content that I put out, it goes to people who are in my dedicated audience, people who have chosen to come in here, people who generally have the know, like, and trust factors with me, and they're looking forward to my material. And I have a pretty good feel for what the responses are going to be, and generally it's positive. These are people who have chosen to be in my audience. But that 1% of material that did not go that way was stuff that went more viral, if you want to call it that. I don't think I've ever really had any piece of content go literally viral, like where it just blew up the next day. But I've had some content who over time has got a lot of attention for whatever reason. And whenever those happen, what happens is you get a whole lot more eyeballs on you of people who did not know you, never heard of you. They're not trying to be a subscriber. They're not going to watch. They didn't watch the last piece of content you put out before this one. They're not going to watch the next one that you put out after this one. They're only just scrolling through because you happen to be your material happens to be one of the popular things, and that's what they're scrolling through. And they're just going to come in and do a drive-by shooting of whatever energy that they want to project, positive or negative, and then they're going to move on to the next thing. It's not about you. And this is the thing you got to understand. The way I just explained that, you should understand. It ain't about you because they don't even know who the hell you are. All right, they just came across your material. They have no intention of finding out who you are. They don't want to do any research on you. They don't want to learn about you or know you or like you or trust you. They just got something to say because you made yourself available. This is what happens when you draw more attention. It's just life, folks. And when you hit critical mass, you get a bunch of people noticing you all at the same time. And some of them are going to be negative. You just need to accept this. And accept also, remember that it's not about you. Because again, they don't even know who you are. Okay. And they don't care about who you are. They're just leaving whatever they want to say there because this is what people do. This is what social media has created. So if this is happening to you on the internet, expect this to happen because this is literally the reason social media exists. People get on social media just to commentate on what other people are doing. They're not there to create and be the thing that is doing something. They want to comment on the thing or the person who's doing something. Most people are spectators and commentators. They are not doers and performers. All right. So understand most people are going to have something to say, but they ain't doing nothing. All right. Accept it. But you need these people. I did a whole episode just a few weeks ago where I explained to you why you need to appreciate the casuals out there. Episode number 2936. You need to appreciate the casuals because if you don't have some casuals paying attention to what you're doing, then you may not be getting enough attention. You're not drawing enough attention to help you do the type of business that you want to do. So you have to accept the casuals as a trade-off for drawing more attention. Even the person who is positive about you this month may decide to be negative about you next month, depending on what happens. Remember, folks, that it's easier to be negative than it is to be positive. Being positive takes effort. Being negative takes no effort. So most people, guess where they default to? Negative. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is why attention creates tension. Number 3, here are the 2 choices we have when we see other people's success. Choice 1 is the more difficult choice. It is a choice 2, while being motivated by another person's achievements, you decide to do the work to catch up to or even surpass their achievements. Damn, this person's doing this. All right, let me do the work. This might take me a few months or years to catch up to where they're at or to move myself to a level looking like where they're at. But you know what? I'm willing to do that work. That's choice 1. This takes a lot of time. It takes effort. It takes attention. It takes energy. And it takes focus. All 5 of your 5 forms of investment. This is not easy to do. It is not an immediate process, and it does not happen overnight. This is the road chosen by the few and the far between. If you're a type of person who chooses this road, you're the type of person who should be going to workonyourgameuniversity.com. You're the type of person who I'm talking about, the person I'm looking for. This road is chosen, again, by the few and far between. 2 out of every 100 people chooses this option. Let me tell you what option 2 is. This is the one that most people take. Second option, this is the one chosen by the people who we label as critics, detractors, haters, trolls, is that they come up with a story in their own minds that they may even verbalize as to why another person has more success than they have. And the story may or not have any level of truth in it. May be 0 truthful information in it, but it doesn't matter. As long as the story serves their ego and serves their emotions, it's fine. Purpose of the story is help a person reconcile their position against another person's position. That's the only purpose of a story. Story does not have to be true for it to be believed. A story does not have to be true for it to be believed. And I'll tell you something about me. I am a hater. Yes, I'm a hater. Hater, hater, but I'm a different kind of hater. I'm a strategic hater. All right, so I'm not a hater who's just being negative to people for no reason. I talked about this in episode number 719, how to be a hater and to use it productively. That was, again, this episode number 719. When I say I'm a strategic hater, what I mean is when I see somebody else outperforming me in the same thing that I'm doing, I take the hate that I'm feeling for the fact that they're ahead of me and I use it in a tongue-in-cheek way when I say hate. I use it to motivate myself to do the work that's going to get me ahead of them. So we look at it as a game. Okay, you just scored on me. I'm going to use the hate of the fact that I hate that you scored on me, and I'm going to use that energy to get better on defense so that you don't score on me next time. And I'm scoring you in between. All right, so I'm using that hate strategically to motivate myself to action, not using the hate in a negative or allowing the hate to use me and crafting a story that I may verbalize to just talk shit about you because you're doing better than me. All right, so I'm a hater in a positive way, not a hater in a negative way. So if you're going to be a hater, any of you who's a competitive individual, be a hater in a strategic way, like I just described. And again, that's episode number 719. So let's recap today's class, which is why attention creates tension. Again, I've seen on social media that this is becoming more and more of a thing. Social media is not going down in popularity. That when someone is successful and is publicly noted for their success, there tends to be a lot of people who want to have something negative to say about that person. And keep in mind that most human beings are followers. So when one person comes out being negative and the people see it and that is getting a response, other people will be negative. Remember the 95-5 rule. 95% of people are basically following the crowd. So if the crowd is positive, they're positive. The crowd is negative, they're negative. Whereas 5% of people are either positive or negative all the time about you, and they don't change regardless of what the crowd does. Most people are followers of the crowd, though. So number one, your success is a mirror. It shows other people who they are relative to you, and they will respond based on how they feel about themselves, even if they're talking about you. Number two, law of averages. The more attention you draw, the law of averages states that some of these people will inevitably be negative, be haters, and be detractors. This is the trade-off that you accept when you draw attention. If you don't want that trade-off, then go back to not having attention. Number three, choices we have when we see other people's success. Choice one is to do the hard work to catch up. Choice two is to craft a negative story about them in your mind that allows you to stay exactly, where you are, maintaining your own personal status quo while that person continues to advance. Most people choose the second option. I'm looking for the people who choose the first option. If that's you, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. I'm looking for the top 2%, the 2 out of every 100 who is serious about growth, serious about change, serious about reaching your goals, serious about implementation, accountability, systems, strategies, and most importantly, the mindset to make all this work. Again, workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre